Kylo, go to sleep. Go to sleep, baby. Okay, good boy. Without fail, whenever I'm in front of the camera, he starts digging into the concrete to make himself comfortable. Hi everybody, it's Melissa, your plantita abogada from Tasteful Nodes, coming to you today with a potting mix episode. You'll get why I make the face as soon as we get into it. But yeah, I guess it would be a potting mix episode. Before I get started, let me get my disclaimers out of the way. One, KKB tayo, kanya-kanyang bayad, meaning I'm not paying any child support for any y'all, okay? Today's episode is going to be about a product that is kind of groundbreaking, definitely a little pricey, as most groundbreaking things are. So if you choose to spend on this, don't come after me if it doesn't work out for you. We're all paying our way, right? Number two, I'm not considered an expert in botany or anything planty by any means. What I discuss are facts that I find online. I'll go ahead and flash those sources on the bottom of your screen. And I also express my opinions and experiences, right? So don't use my personal experiences as something that's factually based, okay? It's, again, an opinion, a layperson's opinion on top of that, not an expert's. But, again, if I do have anything to share that's factual, I'll be putting the source down on the bottom so that you can look up the information yourself. Number three, get a second opinion on everything. These are my standard disclaimers, but it's really, really important to reiterate that because we are dealing with plants that are both an investment in time and money, it's important that you do your own research, get a second opinion on anything that I've said that sounds interesting to you or that makes, you question, is she right? I won't be offended, I promise. What you would need to do is just follow up. See how these things work in your growing conditions and see how much these things are in your environment, because I understand not all of my viewers are in the Philippines, so some of the things that I say, price-wise especially, won't apply to any of my watchers from the US or Europe, okay? Great. As I mentioned earlier, today's topic is going to be about a potting mix. I guess it's a mix. What I'm referring to is Pathcal. So, long story short about how I came across this product is I was the brand new mom, a proud plant mom of a Monstera obliqua. And of course, as any good plant parent, I do research for appropriate mixes after I buy the plant. So the plant is here at home with me. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me see what other people have done with their obliquas, and let's see if it'll work for me. I did eventually manage to find an obliqua mix. I, kind of made it my own. But someone did suggest an obliqua mix, and their obliqua mix contained Pafcal. So Pathcal, let me show it to you dry, is a spongy kind of material, right? It's a spongy kind of material, but it's an organic product that is created by two companies that are pretty well known in Japan, Toyota and Suntory Company. It's recyclable and sustainable, which is surprising, right? A test that was actually conducted in Japan to prove its lifespan showed that Pathcal actually lasts approximately 10 years if used properly, right? It's non-flammable. It's an interesting product. It's a soilless growing material. And this technology that they use to make it actually makes it easy to clean up easy to use in vertical gardening, easy to use as far as transferring from one pot to another. And here it is. It's also convenient for those who have busy schedules, and I agree, and I'll show you in a little bit why. The only caveat to all of this, I mean all this good stuff that we hear about Pathcal, now I should say there are two caveats. One is that it's not to be used for food type plants, to grow food plants, right? It has not been certified as safe for growing food plants. So for now, until new data comes out, we're not going to be using them to grow our tomatoes, although it may be tempting. And number two, because of the fact that it is one of those technological breakthroughs, the pricing is a little bit on the higher side. So Midori Singapore is responsible for distribution of these Toyota Centauri products within the Asian region, including the Philippines. But for some reason, we don't have an official distributor that I could find, at least when I was looking for this. So we had to purchase from the Singapore branch, and let me tell you, I couldn't find the exact price on this because my husband bought it. But when I visited their site, they have like a little sampler pack which contained 3 items, and the 3 items were worth 35 Singapore dollars. So 1,337 pesos for a small bag of Pathcal. They made a Pathcal pot. So a pot made out of this Pathcal stuff, right? And based on the videos that they shared, the roots are coming out everywhere of this pot because, you know, it's just, it's one of those, it really is one of those organic, soilless miracle products. So I can see it being used for many, many things, many other things. Green walls in place of leca or perlite, both of them here. And for propagations, you won't be able to overwater it if you have it in a pot that has drainage holes, just because of the spongy nature. They'll dry up in the Philippine climate, which is interesting because a lot of the aroids that I own have to have chunky mixes. I mean, without the chunkier mixes, they don't survive very well. They're prone to root rot. And they just don't do well. So this I'm really excited about. And today I'm going to show you what they're going to look like when repotted. I've decided to do 2 repottings of my problem children. Don't pretend you don't have any problem children, okay? As a plant parent, you know we have those problem children. We love them, but they're problematic anyway. So I'll be repotting 2 of my problem children in Pathcal, and I'll be giving you an update video within, let's go ahead and say 2 weeks. What I'd like to do first is go ahead and introduce you to today's willing victims. On my left, your right, is my Monstera Aurea. And then on my right, your left, is this guy. He's a new acquisition. It was sold to us as a Monstera. This is no Monstera. This was sold to us as a Scindapsus Treubii dark form, a variegated version, right? So 1 node was all I wanted to take a chance on. It's a really, really pretty leaf. Hopefully the growth point that's coming out, which is looking rather light actually, hopefully it shows a little bit more green. But since it is just 1 node, I wanted to make sure that it was well rooted. And I mean, the roots keep popping out of the perlite, so I'm hoping that it'll do well with the Pathcal. Anyway, let's go ahead and get these guys repotted. What we've got here also are containers. I have a glass jar for the Monstera Aurea, and I have a plastic container for the Treubii dark form, the variegated Treubii dark form. The reason I have 2 different containers is because I wanted to see how each one grew in the containers. So the Monstera Aurea right now is in a glass jar. The Treubii dark form is also in a plastic container, but each of them have different soil amendments, potting mixes. What do we call these? Each of them are in a different material. So the Monstera Aurea is in leca, and the Treubii dark form is actually in perlite. So I'm going to take them out of those, and we're going to move them to Pathcal and see what's up. So to use Pathcal, the general instructions were you can use Pathcal alone, or you can use it with some sort of amendment. However, the amendment that you use it with, they suggest that you use a non-organic amendment such as leca or perlite or pumice, something that doesn't break down. And I think that's the important part in using Pathcal is you don't want, because it does have a lifespan of 10 years, you don't want it to be included in something that breaks down, because then it'll just corrupt the whole purpose of Pathcal, right? The mix that I saw for the Monstera obliqua did have some organic material in it. Sorry, I had to think about this for a second. Prego brain hits hard. It did have some organic material in it, and in fact that's where I got a lot of my ideas from for my mix. It had tree bark in it, it had horticultural charcoal in it, pumice, or was it perlite? One of those two. And then it also had some vermicast, and I'm like, okay, well, plus Pathcal, and I'm like, sounds good. I didn't have Pathcal at the time, but I did research it, and Pathcal acts like a soilless medium, but you know, everything, all the components sounded good. It worked out really well for my obliqua. Yeah, I'll post pictures, update photos of that guy, but it worked out really well for my obliqua, that mix. And I'm assuming that if you don't mind spending that much on Pathcal, you could probably use it with organic materials that break down. I probably won't for a little bit, just because, like I said, they are a little bit, Pathcal is a little bit on the pricey side right now. And there was a tricycle. And I imagine that it'll remain on the pricey side until more people become familiar with it and use it, start using it. But I digress. So the instructions were to soak your Pathcal for a minute, and I know I've been talking longer than that, so I'm sorry. And then squeeze out the excess, right? You don't have to squeeze all of it out, but squeeze out excess. And look at that. It's just dry and airy again. Amazing stuff. So here we go. Squeeze. One squeeze. And let me grab that because it is pricey. I keep saying that, but you know, it's not like I blink an eye when I buy a plant that's pricey. It's not like I say, oh, it's pricey. No, only when it comes to stuff that, you know, like stuff I need, like slippers, clothes. Clothes are pricey, but not the plants I buy. Okay, so we are at a good amount right now. The Scindapsus Treubii variegated form has some good roots that developed. These darker brown roots are what came from the supplier. Initially, he had it in a coconut-based, a coconut-based, I think it was coconut-based, or was it moss? I can't tell. But it's something that stuck to the roots, so it was a little harder to get them developed. But we've got some feeder roots coming out. Woo! Yeah, good stuff, right? And I'm hoping that with this airy mix, the roots will decide to develop further. And there you go. Easy peasy. I mean, it really is easy to use. Holy cow. Exciting stuff. So I don't have to worry about my propagation or my little one noder falling out, falling apart. It's secure and stable in the container, and hopefully it does well. So one plant down, right? There you go. I don't like pulling plants out. Gosh. I just thought of a post I saw on Facebook about how the poor lady pulled her aglaonema out of the pot and ended up leaving the roots, the root ball at the bottom of the pot. There are other ways to loosen your plant. Be patient and loosen them other ways. No pulling. What I'm doing with these guys is I want to make sure that these roots continue to flourish, and I also want to make sure that I don't overwater them. Hence the clear pots. I want to be able to watch. Ooh, interesting. I want to be able to watch the roots develop, like I've seen online and on Centauri's website, right? I want to see that. So leca is not foolproof. Although I have some beautiful feeder roots, I also have a lot of rot. So that's another thing that we're going to compare in a couple weeks, is to see if we can look through these glass and plastic jars to see if we have any root rot visible. So let's go ahead and get this started. So pretty. Oh my gosh. See that? It's just really, really nice. So let me put you down here, darling, just for a little bit. Mom is coming back. Give me a second. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put some at the bottom of my glass jar. Give it a nice squeeze, shake, shake. Put it at the bottom of the jar. I just had an Elle Woods moment from Legally Blonde. Oh, God. Squeeze, shake, shake. Put in the bottom of the pot. We'll make it a third. Oh, a little bit of leca. Squeeze. Put some of that in here. Squeeze, shake, shake. If this works out, that may be my new mantra for Pathcal. Squeeze and shake. I just realized that that can also be taken in other ways, but hey, you know, whatever floats your boat. I don't judge. Okay, now let me finish this up real quick. I do have this beautiful aerial root coming out right here. I don't know if you can see it right at my thumb area. Right there. So we'll see how that responds also. I'm guessing that the humidity will probably have it grow down, and I really want to see if the Pathcal does anything interesting to it. Very, very interesting. So, just finished repotting. Yeah, rejarring, revasing. And I know that I didn't squeeze out all the liquid, but I squeezed out enough, right? So that there's some left here. But what I'm finding interesting is that I don't see any water pooling at the bottom of my my mix of the jar, I mean. But when it comes to this guy, earlier I touched it and it's wet. I mean, it's wet. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but it's wet. So it's an interesting, definitely an interesting product that they have. Yeah, I can't squeeze anything out of it. I can't, but it's wet. Very, very interesting stuff. I'm very excited to see where we're going with this. And I'm really excited to see how this works out. So I'll be updating this video before I post it. I want to make sure that I update it every few days because there isn't a lot of information out there regarding Pathcal chips. So I want to make sure that I provide you guys with the best information possible. So after soaking the Pathcal in water, you will see that there is some residue, which is probably the best thing to do is to remove it from the water before you put it into any container. Hi there. So like leca or perlite, you want to soak it in water first, clean it off because there is residue. They say on Pafcal's website, on Midori's website, that you can use it with one of the coats. So Osmocoat, Nutricoat, that kind of stuff. But I will hold off on that for now, probably until week 1, just to see how the roots are doing. I'm nervous because this is my baby. We've been working so long to get better. Yeah, I hope this works out. So here are my updates. Okay, this is day 1. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel, turn on that notification bell so you get future notifications of any videos that I may upload. Check me out on Facebook. I'll also have written guidelines there. And finally, if you're just into pictures, I'm also into pictures. Send nodes, right? Check me out on Instagram. I'm on Instagram as Tasteful Nodes as well. Okay? So uulitin. Until next time, guys, keep your nodes classy and tasteful. Bye.